right, we're about to get started. We certainly thank everyone. So we're going to ask that you take your seats as we get this started on the day. So good to see so many of you in person, as well as we know that we have several people, on the screen. And so Bishop is telling y'all to come a little bit closer. Amen. And I guess even if you're on the stream, he's saying getting closer to the TV. Amen. Yeah, come on up a little bit closer. Well, we'll have some. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. As I was saying, we're grateful that so many have joined us in person as well as on the stream. I really think that you are in for a treat. Good morning, and my name is Pastor Leroy Jones, and on behalf of the Life Enrichment Development Center, we want to invite you to our first, what we call literacy event for the year, entitled Disable the Dealership. And this is something that I think that we all need to hear and be aware of on this morning. A little bit about the Life Enrichment and Development Center, also known as LEAD. It's a 501c3 faith-based organization created as the community outreach arm of the New Life Pentecostal Church of God in Christ. It was actually the brainchild of Bishop Leroy Jones, who is here with us on today, back in the year 2000. And I remember he, myself, as well as Elder Al Warren, sitting around the table kind of talking about this organization, and we came up with Life Enrichment Development Center called LEAD. But when it first started out, it had really one specific purpose, and that was to steer youngsters away from activities that contribute to destructive behaviors and toward educational and constructive leadership roles in the Harvey and surrounding areas. And over the years, we kind of did things kind of on and off, depending on, who we had actually, here working in the church. And I see many people in the audience who worked with LEAD, over the last 21 years. So since the inception, LEAD has engaged youth in the community. We've done after-school tutoring. We've done peer mentoring, computer training, discussion groups, craft and activities. We also did health fairs and a number of other things. But although we've kind of organized and done those different things, we're really looking to try to have a bigger impact, especially kind of, with the whole social justice thing, going on in the backdrop. So accordingly, amen, we formed a new board, and they've been charged with expanding the LEAD services to the whole family. So now, we want to look at, from, infants to the grave. And Bishop said I shouldn't use that term, but, so what we'll say is just infants, toddlers, pre- and early schoolers, adolescents, adults, and seniors. Amen. Amen. Said leave out that last piece. Amen. But just to let you know, want to let you know who the members of the board are. You're going to meet the director very shortly, Miss Catherine Anderson, who has stepped up. We've been to actually lead this effort. She's the chair. Also, Mr. Leroy Haynes is here on the day. He is the secretary. And then we have two members, Mr. Maurice Boland, as well as Miss Clara Lowe. They're also members. And then, of course, the senior pastor and myself are always ex officio members, of any organization at the church. So today is actually the first part of a 4-part discussion that we plan throughout the year. We plan to do one, each quarter. And what these literacy awareness type meetings, what we're trying to do is just raise awareness about issues and services that affect black and brown communities, in our nation. So, today is meant to be interactive. You're going to find out, that Minister Owen is very, very engaging. Amen, and you're going to have plenty of time to ask questions. And then we're going to ask that you join us, after the Q&A for a meet and greet that's going to take place in the fellowship hall. We'll have some food for you to eat, and then you'll have an opportunity, to talk with our speaker one-on-one. So without any further ado, please help me welcome the board chair amen, to the podium to facilitate the remainder of the event. You can just give her applause as you come.
God bless everyone today. God bless you. God bless you. It's a real honor to be here before you. Thank you, Bishop and Pastor. I really do appreciate the opportunity and the confidence that you have put in me to take this adventure forward. In saying that, for those of you joining us, welcome. We are so excited to have you today. Those who are on streaming, thank you so very much. We hope to give you some information that will allow you to become an informed consumer. And what that means is when you go to spend your money, you're going to know something about something, right? No longer do we have to walk in hoping and praying to be financed or to get something. We're going to go in educated. We're going to go in with confidence because knowledge is power, right? So today we have a young man who's going to give us some knowledge. So I am not going to prolong this. I am going to introduce our speaker. His name is Minister Michael Owens. He's formerly in the auto industry for 10 years, 7 years in sales, and 3 years in auto finance. He's worked for many major dealers such as Honda, Cadillac, Mercedes, Acura, BMW, Infiniti, and Volkswagen. He left the automotive industry for banking and currently is working as a lending specialist for Bank of America. He founded Dream on Purpose, which is a spiritual motivation, Holy Spirit, in 2022 to change strugglers into overcomers by unveiling how your gifts plus God's plan equals your purpose. Amen? Amen. Minister Owens is husband of one. And that would be to the Honorable Lady Jasmine. He is father of 2, one boy, Michael, and one daughter, Malaya. So if you will join me in welcoming Minister Owens.
Hello, and good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Michael Owens, as you guys have heard, and I'm going to be sharing some things with you guys today that's going to help you guys save thousands of dollars. You hear me? Thousands on your next purchase of a car, all right? So before I go too far into the presentation, I just want to first thank the Bishop for having me and Pastor Jones for the invitation. It's truly a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you guys today. I met your pastor working as a lending specialist, with Bank of America, and we were discussing some things, and I don't know how, but cars came up, and we were in that office just talking, and I said, now, Pastor, if you're going to talk to me about cars, we're going to have to make another appointment. Because I did that for 10 years before I got here, so that's my expertise. That's what I know the most. So he didn't really take that into consideration. He just started asking questions, and I went along with it. I just started answering, and as we went along from there, he has such a pastor's heart because it's like a light bulb went off in his mind, and he just like lit up, and he said, this would be perfect if you could bring this to the church and show them this information that you're showing me so that we can save them some money too. And I said, well, hey, Pastor, just give me the call and I'll be there. That's all you got to do. If you call me, I'll come. He called, I came, so here I am. Thank you guys for having me. Now, I do. What that means is I grew up in church. So what I'm about to tell you something that I learned from experience, all right? I'm not telling you what somebody told me. I'm telling you what I know for a fact, all right? One thing I know for a fact is that we know how to do church, okay? We're not struggling in the area of being learned on how to do church. We know how to stand up. We know how to sit down. We know how to clap. We know how to sing. Nobody sings as hard or as loud as we do it. Nobody prays as loud or as hard as we do it. Nobody does the things that we do the way that we do it. There's no experience in the world like coming to one of our churches, right? And with me growing up in church, I loved it. I understood it. But as I got older, I too had a question. And that question that I had was, if I serve the living God, the one, okay, or if I am, intelligent as well, why are other people seeming to do a little bit better than me? You know what I'm saying? Why does it seem as if like others know a little bit more than I know? Why does it seem that others are thriving while I'm struggling trying to survive? Why is it that I don't have the things that I desire? Why are the promises seeming to evade me? What's going on? What am I not doing right? And it didn't take me long. That's what started my spiritual journey, my personal spiritual journey with God, because I didn't want the stuff. I just wanted to know what I was doing or what I was not doing. And it didn't take me long. It was right in Genesis chapter 2. It was right there. And he showed me where there was no growth because there was no man to basically take care of the land that he had created. So it says that he didn't create rain, or he didn't let the rain fall, because there was nobody to take care of what God had created. So what happened was it showed me something, that when there is nobody to take care of the things that he has created, it stops the growth. When you don't take care, or if you don't manage the things that God gave you, he won't be able to give you more. There's no need to give you more. Why do you have a necessity to have more? So today in this presentation, what we're going to be helping you guys with is learn how to do a little bit more of your management. And I believe that's what the goal is of these literacy programs, is to help you guys learn how to better manage what God gave you so that he can bless you with more. It's not so much that praying and singing, all that stuff is great, and that does work, and it has power. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you manage what he gave you, because that's what we were created to do. We were created to manage, all right? And if we learn how to manage, we're going to be able to do and have more. So today we're going to learn how to manage our finances a little bit better, and we're going to do that by walking you through the Disable the Dealership Literacy Program. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through 8 steps that you need in order to know that the salesman is going to use to try to sell the car. Now, what you do not know is that when you go into a dealership, there are 8 steps that a salesman uses. And those 8 steps are the ones that take you from I'm just here to look to I don't know how, but I just bought me a car. So there's 8 steps that a salesman uses, and if you're a good salesman, they learn how to gel these steps together real well, so that way you won't know that they're going on, but you'll be able to get to the end, and hopefully they're going to try to sell your car. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through each one of those steps, tell you what the dealer is looking for, tell you what to say, what not to say, what information to give up, what not to give up, and then hopefully by the end of this program, you'll again be able to leave out of here being able to save thousands of dollars on your next automotive purchase. That sound good? All right, so let's do this today. I had a slide. I don't know if it's going to work with us today, but if not, we're going to walk through our first step. And our first step that we have that we're going to go through today is what we call the welcome, all right? Now, the welcome is what the dealers use to basically get your guard down, okay? The welcome is the one where they say, hey, how you doing? Welcome to ABC Motors. We're glad you're here. Good to see you. Nice shoes, nice hat, nice haircut. They complimenting you, trying to give you some stuff to try to butter you up and get your guard to come down. So the main goal of the welcome is to get your guard down. Now watch this. This stuff that I'm teaching you is about a dealership, but the cool thing about the dealership is that it also applies in life. So if you look at some of this stuff that I'm telling you about, the things that they do in the dealership, you'll also be able to understand that some of these things happen in life too. So the main focus of the welcome is to bring your guard down, to get you excited to be at the dealership. So what they would do is they walk up to you, how you doing, welcome, my name is blah, blah, blah. And then once they give you the name, you go to get them back your name. They try to figure out who everybody is. And then they try to offer you some water or some coffee or something along those lines, right? So here's the trick with the water and coffee. Everything is psychological. And I read in a book called Influence, where the Red Cross they had these children out in the airports. One point, they was giving out roses in the airport, and then they was asking people for donations. And what was happening is they would go, at the end of the day, they would go through the trash and realize all the roses that they gave out was in the trash. So they would recollect the roses, and the next day they would do the same thing, hand out those same roses and ask for donations. And what happened was they realized that if I give people something first, they generally are okay giving me something back, because subconsciously you feel like you got to kind of meet what they gave you. So what goes on at the dealership when they're giving you something as far as the water, the coffee, they're expecting you to then give them information, okay? So when they offer you the water and coffee, I'm okay. Just say I'm okay. Bring your own water, bring your own coffee to the dealership, and that's going to help you in that step, all right? So that's what you want to do. So the first thing you want to do, again, you don't want to get too comfortable too quick, all right? Don't drink the water, don't drink the coffee, all right? Next thing you want to do is you want to listen. You want to get a vibe for the person that you're dealing with, okay? Make sure that you want to continue dealing with them, and if you don't like them, you have the right to change, all right? I was in Indiana at one point selling cars, so y'all can imagine people wanted to change sometimes just because they walked up and wanted to change. All right, it doesn't offend us. So if you guys if you want to do that, you can do that as well. So that's the first step in buying your vehicle is you're welcome. Okay, keep yourself together. Your second step that they're going to do is the most important step because this is what they call the interview. Okay, now the interview is where you guys begin to give up too much information. Okay, because the interview basically is what the salesman is going to use to basically get as much information from you as possible. So this is when they sit you down at the desk after you told them you're here to see such and such car outside. They bring you to the desk two different directions, right? So they bring you to the desk to sit you down, and once they sit you down, they begin to ask you certain probing questions such as, so what brings you in today? Where did you see the car? Okay, where did you see the car is a question that they use to try to find out if you saw it online, which is usually what the real price of the car is, or if you just saw it on the lot driving past, which means they're getting ready to raise the price on you, okay? If you go into the dealership and you tell them you saw the car on the lot, guaranteed they're not going to give you the price that the car is for online because that's how they're making money. Generally speaking, the lowest price that they want to advertise is online because nowadays you can see 70 cars in 70 seconds. So they know that they have to be competitive. And then also on Car Gurus or Cars.com, it actually tells you good car, good price, bad price, fair price. So if it says a good price on that, usually that's the price that they want to sell their car for. You do still have about 6% of wiggle room to deal with from there, okay? All right, so with that being said, the second point is the interview. Now this interview is where they're going to basically divulge in there and they're going to ask you questions such as, so I saw you drive up in that Jeep out there. Is that the car you're going to be trading in, or what do you plan on doing with that? Are you keeping it or adding it to the fleet? All right, so that's when they asking you, are you planning on trading in the car? Then they ask you, well, what is the bank that you financed that car with? And when you tell them the bank that you're financing the car with, you're giving them a couple things. One, they're finding out your credit worthiness, because if you tell them you financed it with Bank of America, Chase, or anything along those lines, 9 times out of 10, you're pretty good, okay? You're telling them you got to finance with Santander or anything along those lines, they're going to be thinking that maybe we got a bit of a credit issue that we got to overcome. Okay, so when it comes to these questions, I want you to know what they are so you know how to answer them without giving up too much information, all right? So then they're going to ask you, so who did you finance the car with? What interest rate do you currently have on your vehicle? The best way to get through all of this without going through too much is to do one thing. Just let them know this. I came here to see this car today. I got 2 more that I'm going to go see once I leave here. I would like to drive the car. I would like to get the best deal possible, and I would still like to go look at those other vehicles before I make my decision today. You see what I'm saying? This does a couple things for the dealer. One, it lets them know that you're serious, okay? You're not wasting their time, okay? You're here to do something. You're here to do something today, okay? But it also let them know I'm not doing nothing right now, all right? It gave you a way out. So that way, if they come with some numbers that you're not pleased with, or if they come with the best deal possible, you still got a way out where you can say, you know what, I told you I'm going to see those other 2 cars before I make my decision. So the best way to handle this interview process, give them as much information as you want them to have, okay? But let them know, hey, I'm going to see 2 more cars before the end of the day is over. I just want to, look at this and test drive this, and then we're going to get some numbers, and then we're going to go about our day, okay? So after you give them the interview, they have the third step, okay? So wait, before we go there to that third step, another thing in this second step is that we start talking about payments quite often. They start asking you, what are you currently paying, okay? What are you looking to do as far as your payment? What's your payment range? And your payment range is a loaded question, okay? Payment range, basically, we know, they know in the business, that payment range for every $20 is $1,000, or every 1,000 is $20 in payment, okay? So for every $1,000 worth of vehicle that you're looking at, it's about $20 in payment, in monthly payment. A better way to do that, or a bigger way to do that, every 10,000 is about $200 to $250, all right, in monthly payment. So now you know if you're looking at a $20,000 car, you can expect about a $400 to $450 payment, okay? So it's just kind of general rule, general thumb, cash is king is what they call that in the business. And what that does is that kind of keeps us on track, because if you tell them, my payment range, I want to be at $450, right? But I want a $15,000 car, what did you just do? You see what I'm saying? I got a $450 payment range I'm trying to stay in, but at the same time, I don't want to spend no more than $15,000. You gave them almost $10,000 worth of wiggle room, because now when they get ready to present, they're going to present you on numbers because you told them about payment. Okay, so when it comes to payment, you need to do the math and know what it is that you're looking to do before you go in there, okay? And then when you give them the number, always give yourself some room, because they always giving themselves some room. So if your payment goal is $450, start at $375. okay? Or start at 400. Start low and work your way up, because we know you can always add more, but you can't take it away. All right? So you can always add more to it, but you cannot take it away. So when that starts happening, just let them know I want to be here, and then just work your way up from there. And then that's how it begins to go, all right? So when they start asking you, what's your payment range? They're basically asking you, how much money am I getting ready to make here? Because if you're telling me your payment range again is $450, and we're looking at $17,000, $18,000 cars, I know I got some room there to make some money. All right? Now, I don't do this no more. I'm out the car business, by the way, just so y'all know, okay? But it's just how the business works, okay? So one thing about the business as well, as we go to our third step, the third step is the selection. And the third step is the selection, where they begin to ask you open-ended questions about the vehicle that you're looking at. Are you into light colors, dark colors, leather, sunroof? What options are necessary, what's not, okay? When it comes to selection, you want to be as selective as possible. In the business, there's a term that they use called switch and get rich, all right? Meaning if you come to the dealership and you don't know what you're looking at, they're going to switch you to something else that you had no time to study for, and that's how they're going to make money, because you did not take the time to prepare for that one. Okay, so when you come to the dealership and they have the selection process, you want to know exactly what it is that you're looking for. So when they ask you about lighter colors, darker colors, tell them white, black, whatever color it is that you're looking for, be as selective. The reason they're asking you lighter colors, darker colors, so they can keep giving you options if one don't work. Okay, so let's say they bring around a gray car, but you really wanted a black car. Well, you said you want dark colors. Gray is dark enough. Look at it at night. They look about the same, don't it? You know, and before you know it, you start shaking your head. Well, you know what? You might be right. That dude, you know, gray is not that bad after all. It ain't as dirty as black. You know, so that's how it starts working. It's about planting the seed, and once they start planting that seed, what happens is you then begin to start, you know, going along with the flow. So when it comes to selection, 9 times out of 10, I tell people, go online, know exactly what you're going to see before you go there. Know exactly what price you want to pay before you go there. You're just basically going to put some legwork to the homework that you've already done, all right? So when it comes to the selection, do not allow them to choose a car for you. What's going to happen is, once you decide what car it is that you want to see, go with that person to start and get that car, all right? I know you think they're being nice to you when they bring the car around and say, hey, we got it all cleaned up. But what they're doing in that instance is they're not showing you the car in its true light, all right? Usually they show it in a nice light, in a nice little area at the dealership where it looks real good and everything is in the right spot. But what you want to do is you want to follow them. Reason being is because you don't know if that car had to get dinged up to come up out of that tight parking space. You don't know if they had to jump that car because it's been sitting on the lot for so long, now they got to jump it to start it. You don't know if when they started it, one of the windows fell down, or if one of the windows went up. You don't know what happened. So what you want to do is, when it comes to those things, what you want to do is you want to go with them, because what they're going to do in those moments is they're starting to trying to show you the car in the best light. So what you want to do is go with them when they start the car so you can see how it works, see how it operates, but this also gives you time to walk around and see what's going on at the actual car lot as well, because they may just be trying to show you what they want to sell you. So you want to go with them so you can see what's out there, and then you also want to be able to drive it off the lot. Now, your test drive is the next step, and the test drive should last you at least about good 10 minutes. Now, what the salesman does on the test drive, a good one will be quiet, because they're trying to get you to take mental ownership of the car, all right? And you can't take mental ownership if somebody in the back just keep talking, all right? So what they do is they be quiet, let you take the mental ownership, and then they let you get the feel for it. Now, what you do on your test drive, I tell people, a lot of people think you test them out by driving them fast. Drive them slow, all right? You learn a whole lot more about a car driving it at 5 miles per hour than you will at 50. I guarantee it. I had a car that wouldn't go 5. But I had one that went 50. I went under 5 miles per hour. It shut off on me. I couldn't stop the car. I had a car. I couldn't stop it at the stoplights. Every time I came to a stoplight, I had to put it in neutral and keep it revving. Because if I didn't keep it revved up, the car would literally cut off on me. So that's why I tell people, when you go out there and you are looking at these vehicles, what you want to do is you want to drive it slow, drive it fast, drive it every which direction you think you might want to drive it, because you want to see exactly what's going on in that moment, all right? Always look under hoods, always check things, always ask for service records, okay? Always ask for Carfax reports, okay? Always ask for all the homework, because you're getting ready to make a huge financial decision. People don't understand this, but your car is your second largest financial decision that you're probably going to make in your life. Your first one is your house, but your second one is your car. Okay, now that first one, that house, we take a lot of time to think about that. But that second one, that car, we kind of just do whatever we're going to do on that end and see whatever they're going to give us, all right? But that one is the one that does a lot more damage to you, because, believe it or not, it can take you 10 years to clean up a bad car deal. at least 10 years to clean up a bad car deal, all right? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you know what to do. So on that test drive, you're going to go around, you're going to figure out what's going on, and then when you come back from the test drive, some of the do's that you're going to do, you're going to go with the salesman to get the car, you're going to drive it for at least 10 minutes, and you're going to drive around the lot too to see what your other options are. Now, on your test drive, I tell you, don't tear up the car, don't get too attached, and keep your emotions in check, all right? Don't make emotional decisions. But the best time to break something is before you buy it, so try it out as much as you can, all right? Once you come back from that, we're going to have this part that a lot of people get taken advantage of, and they don't know it. And this is the part I wanted to do a little bit more time on. This is the trade, okay? This is the car that you came in on that they began to ask you questions about at the beginning, because now you have a trade-in that has to get appraised. So what the salesman would do is they'll say, hey, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, do me a favor, come with me, tell me a little bit about your car as I go over it just to make sure we get you the most money possible. What they're going to do is they're going to take you outside, they're going to go with you to your car. We're going to imagine that this is the car today, all right? They're just going to begin to walk around the car. Now imagine I'm walking around your car. This is your car. I'm walking around your car, I'm doing stuff like this to it as I look at it. Now, as they do this, okay, this is what they call a silent walk around. They're not going to say a thing because you're going to start telling them everything they need to know to devalue your car. If I touch the hood, you're going to start telling me about that dent on your hood. That's a little hail damage. It ain't nothing too much. The insurance company said they'll cover it. I just never went to go get it done. I start touching your tires. I just got those done about a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. What about the brakes? Did you get those done when you got the tires done? I didn't need it done at that time. No problem, no problem. So now as they start walking around and touching it, you subconsciously now are starting to feel a little bad about what you brought to the table. You start thinking that what you brought is worth less because they're literally devaluing it without saying a word, just working on your own subconscious feelings. So as they touch your car and they doing that silent walk around, your job, stay silent too. Just watch them. Just watch them. As they go around their car and they start touching stuff, I saw that. Is your friend. Another thing you can do is you can just tell them, no, that's okay. I trust you. You go out there, you handle it. Just come back, let me know what you got. That way they don't have the chance to walk you around your own car and devalue it in front of you. Just go out there, let me know what you get. Here's my keys. Come back and let me know. I trust you do your job right. All right? Now, what you've done already is you've done your homework, though. Okay? You went on KBB.com. You went on Edmunds.com. You went on CarGurus.com. You went on those sites, because those sites tell you exactly what you need to know about your car as far as what your trade-in value is. I just heard the brother also say, he had a good point as well. He said you can call your insurance company, all right? Your insurance company is the people that pay for your car when it's totaled out. So they're going to give you a real number because they're not trying to cough up too much money. So you can always call your insurance company and ask them, hey, if my car was totaled out today or if anything like that was happening to my car, what's the value of my car? What would you write me a check for? Not what you think. What would you write me a check? That's how you find out what the real value of that vehicle is. So on your trade-in, as they walk around, as they start going around your car, you just be quiet and watch. You just sit there and let them do their thing, all right? But you already know in the back of your mind what number you're not letting that car go for, okay? So do your thorough research, have a number in mind, and know how much you owe on your car, because a lot of us don't own our cars outright. We got money that we still owe to the other banks. So know what that number is before you go. Don't go out there with them to do the walk-around evaluation. And if you do go out there, again, don't speak too much. Just let them do all the talking. You just walk around with them, okay? This next step that we're going to be talking about is the one that now we're getting ready to bring you to the paperwork, all right? So after we done did all of these steps, now we done made this big old soup, all right? And we're getting ready to present you with numbers. So this is how numbers will begin to look. If you don't mind, I got a slide for the numbers. I want to show you guys before I talk about numbers because it's a little small, but you can see where I'm going with this. That is what you call a foursquare. All right? If your dealer show you anything like this, get up and run now, because this is made to basically sell the car and make the most money possible. All right? There's four squares that you see up there. I'm going to walk you through them from the top to the bottom. It's price, it's trade, it's down payment, and then it's monthly payment. All right? PTDM, price, trade, down payment, monthly payment. You see how y'all look confused? That's the point. That's the point of a foursquare, to confuse the consumer into buying a car. All right? The fourth square is going to focus on that last box all the way down at the bottom of that, which is called the monthly payment box, because that's what they want to get you through. They want to take you through your price, your trade, your down payment, your monthly payment, make it look real confusing just so you can stay focused on that last box at the bottom. And what they do is they got some options like a 450, a 430, and a 410, all right? And then you tell them, well, I'm trying to be at 375. They start trying to pull the trick and say, well, you know, I can go to 375 here, but I got to move something else in one of these boxes to get us down to 375 here. So they'll say, well, you got to either add more to the trade or you got to put more on your down payment, but it's a piece of string. They use the string analogy where they say, well, I can only pull it one way at a time, all right? That's not the case. That string can be cut up in half, all right? So what we do here is they're going to try to focus you on that, and when they focus you on that, get up, run, leave, don't stay there, all right? Just stand up. You want to always do this sitting down because standing up is your best chance of being like aggressive without being aggressive. You see somebody stand up in the dealership, they start getting scared. You know, you stand up at the dealership when they start talking about numbers. Wait, where you going? You know, that's what it becomes. So that's what we want to always do this while we're sitting down because we're going to negotiate in our seats, all right? We don't negotiate on lots. We don't negotiate standing up. We negotiate in our seats. The next slide shows you what an actual purchase agreement should look like when you go to a dealership, and that is that one there. Now, I had to blot that out because that's one that I took when I was working with Volkswagen, and what that does is it has 3 boxes over here to the left. Those 3 boxes are payment options, and then that column all the way to the right, all right? That shows you everything that they're offering you on that car. So it shows you price, your trade, accessories, dealer fees, add-ons. You want to see everything out the door is the term you want to use, or OTD as they call it, because out the door says this is the amount that I'm really going to pay. Not you're going to sell me the car for $20,000, but you're going to add $4,000 in worth of fees, and now I'm actually paying $24,000 plus taxes. By the time I leave, I'm at $30,000. How did that happen? Right? That's how. All right? When you don't see all your numbers, they can start kind of maneuvering things and throwing things in there. So when you see those 3 boxes, you're going to see 3 options. They're going to have ranges because they have not run your credit yet, okay? Do not allow them to run your credit before you see numbers. You do not have to allow them to run your credit before you see numbers. That's something that they play with us sometimes, okay? You don't have to do a thing, okay, because you're there to buy a car. You have all the control until you basically take the car. All right? And the salesperson is trying to continue to keep control. So they will ask you to do certain things like submit a credit application because they know that's basically their way of, now you're invested in. You gave this man your credit and your social. You're not about to get up and walk away. You gave somebody your social. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes they will ask you that in that interview process. They go a little bit too far, too fast in that step 2. And they say, well, before we do this, let's get some credit to see if we got the right car for you. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have heard that. That's basically their way of saying if they have a real buyer that can buy a car and that it's worth them wasting their time with you. That's all they're trying to figure out. All right? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to see all your numbers from the top to the bottom. You want to see what everything is out the door. And when you see what those numbers are out the door, that should be that last column out there. That's the amount that you're going to be financing over time. All right? So after you've taken a look at all this for your purchase agreement, on your purchase agreement, again, it should have all prices, trades, and fees. Now, you can't really see it on there, but there's like an accessory on that sheet that says $9.99. Okay, and that accessory was a dealer fee that is not discussed until the person shows up on the lot. So I'm sure you guys have seen this before where you show up to the dealer and they got this $700 reconditioning fee, or they got this $500 documentation fee, or some type of fee that you didn't know anything about, some transmission fee or something, transitional fee. You're like, what is that? All right. So what that fee is, it is a negotiable fee. There are no fees that they can add to make stay on a car. Okay, don't let them tell you that. All right, that $9.99, they put it out there to see if you're going to bite. If you bite, then they won. It's that simple. All right, if you don't read, 9 times out of 10, you're going to bite on it. This is why you want to go through every line and ask a question about it once the numbers are done. So they're going to present that to you all the way through. Once they present it all the way through, then you ask questions. Don't stop them in the middle of the presentation because it's going to make it seem like you really don't know what's going on. You're just being tit for tat. But once they give that to you as far as those numbers go, what you're going to do is now you're going to ask them, you're going to say, hey, these are okay, but this is just not what I was thinking. It's just not what I was thinking. They're going to ask you, well, what were you thinking? How did you come up with that idea? What were you trying to do? Now, if your numbers are okay, ain't no point of being bad, you know. if they look all right and everything is kind of where you want it to be, just go for it, all right? But if they don't look good to you, you just let them know, this not what I'm thinking. I'm going to go check out those other 2 cars. All right? Now they got some fire under them, and they're trying to figure out, well, what do we need to do to sell you this car right now? Not today, but then it becomes about a right now thing. All right? So then they start trying to figure out, how do I sell this car to you right now? And then that's when you, again, now you have your control. You can begin to determine based off the numbers that you see. You can start moving numbers around based off how you want to do it. It puts the control back in your lap. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put the control back in your lap so that way when you go in, you don't let them dictate to you what you can and cannot afford. You don't let them dictate to you what you are and what you are not going to buy. You tell them, this is what I want and this is the terms that I need. All right? So once they show you these numbers, you go over the numbers with them. And then here's the thing that you can always use, and I always tell people to do this. Always let them know, okay, these are fine, but I do have to go check my own financing. What are the best financing rates that you have? All right? Once you agree to the numbers, now they have what they call a delivery, because now you have agreed to purchase a car. So in that step, if you look at those numbers and you decide, you know what, this does work for me, and you get them the thumbs up, they ask you for your signature, you sign, now you have agreed to purchase a car, but the deal is still not done. Do not let them make you think you cannot walk away yet. You can walk away from a car deal at any point until you take it over the curb. All right? No matter what you've signed, no matter what you've said, no matter how many hands you've shaken, at any point, unless you took the car over the curb, you can basically take that car and you can just say, I'm done with this deal. So what you want to do now is once you've agreed to do the deal and you said, you know what, these numbers and things work, right? Now you have even more power, all right? Because now it goes from having a deal to protecting the deal. Now they want to protect their car deal. Now they want to make sure that nothing happens because we actually got a buyer on the hook. All right? So what they do is they will begin to tell you, now we're going to do the delivery. Your salesman running around like a chicken with his head cut off trying to wash the car and make it look good, you know, things like that. But then you have to deal with the finance manager. And this is where a lot of people don't really understand. But the finance manager is the guy that's making the most money in the dealership. Okay? There is a reason the finance manager is the highest paid person in the dealership. Okay? The finance manager saves negative deals. When I say save negative deals, I mean it could be negative on the front, meaning they had to give you the car at too good of a deal, okay, because they had to move the car. That happens sometimes, all right? But the finance manager is now, his job is to put the gross back into the car, sell some stuff so we can actually make some money now, all right? So the finance manager actually got more power in that dealership than you think. The sales manager don't have that much power. Your salesmen don't have that much power. It's only what you do with your finance manager that matters because that's the one where you're going to go in and sign on the dotted line. So the finance manager is the one that people don't really look for, but this is the one that makes the most money. Reason being is because the finance manager is the one that calls the banks. So this is what happens when you go to a dealership to buy a car. They take your information, they send it to a couple different banks, okay? They tell you that they're going to give you the lowest rate possible. It's not always the case, okay? There's a couple ways that a dealership gets paid from banks, okay? First, they have a flat fee that they get paid from every bank, okay? Whatever that fee is, I can't discuss it, but whichever bank they decide to finance you with, they get a flat fee. This is why they want you to finance as opposed to paying cash, because they understand that even if I sell you the car at a good deal on finance, I still get that flat fee from the bank, so it starts adding up to my deal. They don't really care for cash. They don't really care that you bring in, you know, how much you want to pay for in cash because it actually shuts off the deal. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't give them more room to make more profit down the line, right? So what they're going to do here is they're going to basically send you or get the finance manager involved. And what the finance manager is going to do, it's his job to put your paperwork together, but also find ways to make more money for the dealership. So what he has is he has tire and wheel, key replacement, gap insurance, warranty. Y'all know about that stuff there. You know, you break your wheel repairs, rim exchange, brakes exchange, all that good stuff, right? So what he does is he's going to pitch you those informations, but he needs time to put his presentation together to figure out how this is going to come out with your rate and how this is going to look on payment and make it appealing to you. So what you want to do is you don't want to give him too much time, because the more time that finance manager has, the more he's putting stuff together to show you, I guarantee it. If you waited a long time to see a finance manager, I guarantee you went in there, he had warranty ready to show you, he had gap, he had tire and wheel ready to show you, he had a really good rate ready to show you everything, because that gave him time to do it. Another thing is that these banks also offer them rates, but these rates are negotiable. So just because they tell you I got you a 7% interest rate does not mean you have to take the 7%. You ask them a simple question. Very simple terminology. I think I was just talking to Pastor about this, and she said his son used this word, and the guy just kind of froze up and just ran out the room and had to redo everything. It's a simple term. It's buy rate, okay? Buy rate, okay? Simple. When they bring you a term or they bring you a rate and they tell you that this is what the bank is giving us at 7%, we got to approve this, that, and the third, ask them very simply, is that the buy rate or is that the rate you're giving me? Because the buy rate could be 5%. But they could be selling it to you at 7. You see what I'm saying? Those 2 points equals over $2,000 in profit. That finance manager gets a nice chunk of it on every deal. You see what I'm saying? So this is why the finance manager is incentivized basically to raise rates on consumers. Now let me tell y'all this, because I know I was this at one point, and let me tell you guys how I became successful in the business so y'all have an understanding. I'm telling y'all this because when I was in the business, I told my consumers the same thing I'm telling y'all now. It worked. Because what I did was I told everybody exactly what they wanted to know and what they didn't want to know, so that way they can make their own decisions based off what they was going to do. And when you see a person like that giving you that type of information, you normally work with them. And that's what I did. That's exactly how I made it in the car business. By divulging the information, letting people know what's going on so they don't get taken care of, taken advantage of, especially those that look like myself. Because it's unfortunate, it's very unfortunate, but you see it so often where you're paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more for the same thing that somebody that don't look like you is paying for. You see it often where you go into a place and you try to buy something, you try to get a loan for your business or you try to get a loan for your car, and they want to tell you, well, if I'm going to do it for you, I got to have this rate up here in order for it to work for you. But it don't work like that for everybody else. So that's why I wanted to make sure you understood how that worked in the finance manager's office, because you have power in there too, especially if you have great credit or good credit, okay? If you ain't got the best credit, there's other options. Okay, if you ain't got the best credit, there are other options. What you do is, if you don't have best credit, let them run what they're gonna run. Let them get your approval. If it don't look right to you, don't take the car. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I've been in a situation. I'm sure a lot of us been in situations where we just had to get something to keep moving because it just was that time. And if they approved it, thank God. You know, if they approved it, we didn't care what the rate was. We just was taking it because it was just one of those things we had to get back and forth. If that ever happens to you, where you have to take a car where the rate is too high, understand this is a simple interest loan, okay? Meaning you're only going to pay that full rate if you take it out for that full amount of time. If you got a 72-month term, that's a 6-year term, right? Right? So if you pay it off early, you will not pay that full 20% APR. You see what I'm saying? If you pay it off early, you won't pay it. If you pay it off over the full 6 years, that's when you pay that full 20% APR because you waited the entire time to pay it. If you pay it off in 3 years, 4 years, your interest rate has dropped now because you've paid it off early. You have not paid all the interest that they were expecting to get. Okay? So the key is, if you have to get yourself in one of those situations where you just have to get a car, it happens to you. I get it. We people, we got needs, we got children, we got, jobs that we got to get back and forth to. Do what you got to do. But at the same time, make your motivation paying that car off as soon as possible. As soon as possible, so you can stop paying the juice. Because annual percentage rates are calculated annually, okay? If I give you an interest rate, okay, at 10% on a $30,000 car, you thinking in your mind that I'm only going to pay about $3,000 in interest because that's what 10% is of 30,000, right? But it's done and it's calculated annually. So when you started, okay, at that percentage rate of 30,000, okay, and you got that 10% interest rate with that 3,000, that's the interest for that year, annual. Next year comes along. You don't owe 30,000 no more, but you probably owe about 25, okay? 10%, 2,500 gets added back onto your car loan. So now you done got down to 25,000, but now you back up to 27.5. How did that just happen? Well, your annual percentage rate kicked in again because it's another year. You go through a year, you pay that car down, now you at 20. By the time you get back down to that next year, you're going back up to 22. This is how you go to the car lot and you be like, I've been paying for this car for 3 years and I still owe the same amount that I owed on the car when I bought it. Because most people, especially, again, people that look like us have higher interest rates. So a lot of the car that you're paying for is juice. If you have a 20% interest rate, 20% of your payment every month is going to your interest. Think about that. That's a $300 car payment if you have it. 20% of that, what's that? About 60 bucks? 60 bucks is the interest that you're paying just to have the car loan. You break that down into a daily, that's $2 a day you driving, paying in interest just to have a car. $2 a day. So the goal is with these cars, pay them off as soon as you can. Pay them off as soon as you can, no matter what interest rate you got, unless you got 0% or 0.9 or something along those lines. So that's when I consider that free money. If it's 0%, that's free money. You ride that sucker out for 84 months, whatever term they give you. You give me 200 months, I'm taking it. You know, it's 0%. Why not? That's free money. You take that all day long, all right? But when it comes to these interest rates, this is why I wanted to spend a little bit of time here, because we don't really talk about this part. We focus so much on what's the number, what's the cost of the car. But they'll give you that because they know at the end of the day, they can make you finance even more, and that's where you get stuck in these car deals, when you get those high interest rates and you start paying for the other stuff that has no value. So now we start talking about tire, wheel, gap insurance, warranties, things along those lines. The only thing I would suggest that you actually get is gap insurance. Gap insurance covers your car for any reason. You total that car out and you still owe more on that car than what it's worth, gap insurance covers the gap. That's simple. That's the only thing I would suggest. And normally you can get that from your insurance company, depending upon who your insurance is, or you can get that from the dealer, but that should be no more than $500 at the most, all right, which is $10 more in your payment, excuse me, all right? Other than that, your warranties, your tire and wheel, all that stuff, it's fluff. Now, if you're one of those people that you do drive your car a lot, and you know you're gonna keep your car a lot, and you plan on using some of those things, by all means, and the benefits that they believe they have, they don't really know what's what. By the time you go try to tell them, hey, I'm here to cash in on this tire and wheel, they'll show you a line that say, hey, that don't cover this. You see, and they done paid all this money into something, and it ain't even covered. Where did my money go? You know, so now the money that you had or that you needed to take care of what you're actually doing, you then gave it to them, and they don't even take care of it. Now, if you're in that situation, you can always cancel your warranties as long as you're still paying for it, okay? And they do have to, basically, it's like your insurance. You see what I'm saying? It's just like insurance. You can cancel it at any point and go with somewhere else. So if you want to cancel those things, you can cancel them, okay? At any point that you have that car loan, as long as you have not used them, okay? But just so you also know, when they are showing you those things have at least up to 50% markup in them. 50%. So a warranty that's $1,000 costs the dealer maybe about $500, $525. Okay, tire and wheel that costs you $1,500 costs the dealer maybe $700, if that. All right, gap insurance, you got to get gap insurance, $500, and that's usually about $100 a markup in gap insurance. They don't really mark up gap insurance too much because they understand that one. But everything else, tire and wheel, key replacement, brake replacement, all that other stuff, you got at least about 50% markup in that. And they're not going to give you the whole 50, but you can at least get 40. You see what I'm saying? If you want it. You see what I'm saying? Take at least 40% off of it and then get those things, okay? So those things are necessary for some people because everybody has different driving needs. Everybody does things differently. Everybody has different ideas of what's what, you know, so by all means, handle that the way you see fit, okay? But when it comes to those things, at least know that they are negotiable. Your interest rate is negotiable. Your finance charges are negotiable, and the best thing to do to make the finance manager honest is to let them know, hey, I do have an option of getting financed through my own bank, okay? My own bank. So if you work with Bank of America, Chase, PNC, Capital One, whatever the case may be, with whoever it is, okay, let them know that you had that option to finance through your own bank, or you want to see what your own bank is offering. I haven't checked it out yet, but I heard they got some good rates. I want to see what they're offering. They're going to do their best to give you what they can to make sure you don't leave, because again, their job now becomes protecting the deal. All right, so in that delivery stage, that is all going on in that delivery. That's where the deal really becomes consummated, as we say. That's where it really becomes a deal, because in that delivery stage, that's when your finance manager is doing research to figure out what they can sell you before you come into that office, and that's when they begin to ask you about, you know, other things as far as what your plans are with the car, so they can figure out how they can sell you. So again, the best thing to do is when you say, okay, I'm going to take this car, Let them know I'm going to take this car, but I don't really have that much time, so I need about 30 minutes, and then that's about all I got left. Okay? What that does is that rushes the finance manager, so he don't have time to try to put stuff into your deal. He don't have time to try to raise your rate. He don't have the time to try to sell you all that extra stuff that you may or may not need. He gonna have to give it to you straight out because it is what it is. You only got 30 minutes, and his job is now protecting the deal, making sure you don't walk out the dealership. All right? So what you can do is, again, let them know I only got that much time, and don't even tell your salesperson that. Don't tell your salesperson, don't tell the finance manager. You go directly to the sales manager, all right? He's usually sitting at some sort of desk or tower in the middle of the place. You just go directly up to them, and you let them know, hey, I only got about 30 minutes, if that, maybe 20, okay? I got somewhere I got to be. Can we get this done in that amount of time? That puts the pressure on the finance manager to get you out of there quickly, all right? After that, you've made a deal now. You should know what it is now that you walked into. You should have a good idea and an understanding of what your rate is, what your buy rate is. You should be pretty much set to go. After that, they pretty much walk you around the car, make sure everything looks good. Ask them before you sign up if there's any freebies, if they got any free car washes, free gas, anything like that. They should always fill your car up if it's a new car, things like that. Ask them whatever those things may be. And then after you've done all of that, you, my friends, have successfully purchased yourself a vehicle from a dealership, okay? After you've done all those things in that order, okay? So there's about 8 steps that we went over. That last step is what they call the follow-up. That follow-up step is that step that they're going to give you basically just to call you, hey, how you doing? I just want to make sure you're still okay with the car. Did we do all right? Most salesmen don't follow up with you, okay? Reason being is because once they get the car over the curb, they kind of feel like they got what they got and they did what they needed to do, all right? So what you want to do is you can follow up with your own salesperson, let them know, hey, I got the car, I'm good. Thank you so much for helping me, blah, blah, blah. And then now you've been consummated into that dealership. You're there now. They know who you are. And they should be able to, assist you moving forward without having any problems and without trying to do all those tricks and things that you've done before, that they did before, all right? So that pretty much wraps up the 8 steps, okay, that it is to purchase a vehicle. What I wanted to do is, I know there's a Q&A that we're going to be doing very shortly, and it looks like you guys got some questions. I see you guys taking some notes. I like that because I'm more of a ask me a question, let me answer type of guy myself. So if you guys got any questions, I would gladly take those. You wanted to do the... You got questions? Okay, perfect. Oh, perfect. So if anybody got a question right out the gate, I would love to take that. Anybody got anything? Okay. Well, we're going to start in the front and work our way back. Is that okay? All right, Bishop. To hold you. To hold you. So Bishop's question was, why do they take your driver's license and not try to give it back to you? It's a trick to hold you there. Another thing they're going to take to try to make sure you don't leave is your keys to your trade. Yeah. Yeah. So when they ask you for the keys to the car, or if they ask you for your driver's license, things like that, you're not going to leave without your license. You're not going to leave without the keys to your trade. So it's a trick to hold you there. So when they ask you for your license, of course, they still got to make the copy of it because that's what they're going to do. But it's basically to hold you there to make sure you can't leave because we still got your license. That's mainly the goal behind that. Also, again, with the trade-in.
So what can I do?
What can you do? So this is what you can do. You can let them make the copy, but ask for it back immediately. Okay, go ahead and make your copy, but I'm going to need that right back. I'm going to need it right back. It's just that simple. So, yeah, go ahead and make the copy, but I'll need that right back. And that's fine. If they say, well, we need to hold it, well, how are you going to hold it if I'm doing a test drive? What if I get stopped on the street or something like that? That don't make sense. You see what I'm saying? So they got the copy already made. You can just ask for it right back. All right? Good question, Bishop. Sir, you had a question here in the front?
Yeah, what do you
Upside down. Perfect. So a lot of us find ourselves being upside down. Okay? So the question that he had here was, what if you find yourself being upside down in payments? What really can you do? Okay? So around this time of year is when a lot of people trade in cars because they just got their tax return. And that tax return end up eating up a lot of that upside down negative equity. All right? So what a lot of people do around this time is they use some of that to pay off if they're upside down. Now, if you're upside down in your loan, unfortunately, okay, you're upside down in your loan. Okay? It's no magical wand that they can wave to make that just automatically go away because that deal has already been done. What I tell people is this, depending upon how far you are upside down, and this is where it gets real tricky, everybody has something specific that may or may make or break that deal. But when it comes to being upside down in your car loan, you want to figure out, one, how far upside down are you? Okay? I mean, if you're talking like $2,000, $3,000, that's semi-doable. Okay? But what I tell people is, you want to get as close to even as possible before you go into your next loan, because you don't want to be paying for 2 cars on 1 loan. Okay? And this is where we got to start having some emotional checks with ourselves and figuring out what's it worth to me. If your car not breaking down and you upside down in the loan, just find your way to not be upside down no more before it starts breaking down. You see what I'm saying? So you don't be upside down on the next loan. But it doesn't make sense if I'm upside down $5,000 on my Kia here, right, to go buy me a new Kia where they got markup in. It's going to depreciate the moment I drive it off the lot, at least $2,000, $3,000. You see what I'm saying? And then I got to add my $5,000 of my upside down that I got on there. All right. Then I got to add my $2,000 of taxes. You see what I'm saying? Then I got to add my fees. You just spent like $8,000 in stuff that wasn't even the car. You see what I'm saying? That's all the old car. Mm-hmm. Okay. Think you can now, right? It changed. It changed. It changed. Now, the reason he did that, let me tell you why he did that, all right? Banks are more apt to give you better rates, okay, on new cars than they are on used cars. Reason being is because it's all about risk. When you lending somebody your money, it's about the risk involved. If you're more of a risky case, I'm going to ask you for more interest, okay? If you're not as risky, I don't need as much interest from you because I know I'm going to get my money back, okay? So with used cars, right, they want to make sure they're going to get paid regardless. So when it comes to used cars, it's not always about the price, it's about the car, it's about what happens with that manufacturer. Is it a good car? Does it last? Because the bank want to make sure they get paid. They don't want you paying for repairs. So if you're paying for brakes, tires, stuff that go wrong, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to pay that payment because you got to pay to get the car back and forth. So now you're taking money out of the payment to get the car back and forth. They understand that risk. So that's why they charge you higher interest rates on used cars than they do on new cars, because they understand that it's a higher risk. Okay? So that may be a reason he was trying to do that, because it was just all about trying to work it out in the back end for the banks. You see what I'm saying? Because he knew he could have got you probably a different rate. Okay? But with that being said, is that rate going to be worth that $8,000? You see what I'm saying? That's when you have to start determining, is it worth it to get a lower rate, or is it worth it to get a lower price car? Because it's all about what you got to pay. Because you got to pay it. You don't want to pay it. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay, so the question is, if you were to file a BK, as they call them in the business, they call them BKs, bankruptcies, all right? What's the best approach? Okay, there's a couple things you can do for bankruptcies, okay? Believe it or not, it depends on how long you've been out of your bankruptcy that can determine what can or cannot be done. If it's a fresh bankruptcy, or if you're still in your bankruptcy, there's nothing that can be done, okay? It has to be closed, okay, for at least about 6 months is what they're expecting, okay, before you can get a car. Now, you can get a car again out of a fresh bankruptcy. You definitely can, okay? However, be prepared, because it's back to being risky again. So that's when you may get hit with that higher interest rate that I was just telling you about, and that's when you want to start looking to pay that car off as soon as possible if it's approved. There's a couple places you can go right now for people that may have had like bankruptcies, bad credit, repossessions, anything like that. I'm going to give you 2 places right now you can go get a car like immediately, okay? One of those places is called Drive Time. I don't know if anybody ever heard of them, but y'all heard of them when they say 99% of people approve. They mean it. 99% of the people are literally approved. Now, with that being said, be careful, because those are the rates that I was telling you about, okay? But, like I said, when you get to that point where you just need to get what you need to get, you don't really care about none of that stuff. You just got to get what you got to get, all right? So with that, that's how I know about these places. So when it comes to that, Drive Time can definitely help you on that end. 99% of the people are approved in real life, okay? You can do a lot of the stuff online, okay, without actually running your credit. So if you go to drivetime.com, you can do like a soft pre-approval on there. You can see whatever cars they may have that they can offer you, and then you can also get like a idea of what they're going to ask. So they're going to tell you can get a car with about $999 down, payment range that they're going to approve you is about here, and price range that they're going to approve you is about here. Then what you can do is you can actually go on their website, Drive Time, and you can actually look at the cars that they have that fit the budget that they gave you. Okay, so when you go on those websites or you go on drivetime.com, you get them your credit app information. They're gonna tell you this: we're gonna approve you for $15,000. You got to put $999 down, and you can go up to 72 months. Now you can look at all the cars that they have on their website that are at $15,000 that you're willing to put $999 down on. Okay, another place you can do that with is I think Carvana is pretty good at that too. Okay, and Carvana is the ones that they drop the car off to you at home. Okay, so yeah, it didn't get real out here. They didn't figure out how to get your money on your couch. You ain't even got to go to the lot no more. It's about you just making it convenient, right? So if you were to do that, it's the same process. They're owned by the same people, believe it or not. Okay, those two companies are owned by the exact same people. One just dropped the car off, and one just brings it. One you actually just have to go to, but they do the exact same thing. You can do the application right there on the site. Get your pre-approval, find out what the number is, and then you can actually see whatever car that they have. If you're struggling with credit, that's a good way to do it. Where, like I said, if you just need a car, those are two good places where you can go to get a car that you need. To buy a car, or how? For a car, I mean, you do usually 6 months. You're good as long as you didn't took care of your credit. You don't have to wait 4 years to buy a car. Looking at homes, that's different. But buying a car, I mean, you can do that fairly quickly because they cleaned that up already. Well, it depends on the chapter too. Chapter 11. Okay, chapter 11, you give about Chapter 7. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, that's the one they cleaned it all out, correct?
Yes. Yeah, they took everything.
Okay. Chapter 7 take a little bit more time because I think if you do 13 or 11, that's the prepayment plan.
2 months.
2 months? Got you. 2 months then, okay? So what it happens is if it takes 2 months for the process to be done, correct? Okay, yeah, so 2 months for the process to be done. On the car end, though, you want to give it again about 6 months to a year. At least 6 months to a year before you allow them to see it. And if it's Carvana or Drive Time or anything like that, you can always do those. They're not going to hit your credit to do it. So that's what I was telling you about Carvana and Drive Time. Those are soft pulls. They're not going to basically hit your credit to do it. It's just going to do it, and then it's not going to affect your credit in any way. Okay? That sister right there real quick. Go ahead.
Several years ago, 2018, I was in my looking for a car.
Uh-huh.
So what I did my research, like you said, and I went to 4 dealerships.
Okay.
Because I knew what I was looking for. And each one, I had to put it in writing, what they was promising.
Smart.
And I went to the next dealership, he had undercut that price.
Mm-hmm.
So when I finished, and I didn't do a trade-in, because they wanted a trade-in.
Gotcha.
They wanted to finance it, but I went through my credit union.
Smart.
So they felt like, you want us to give you, because we're not making it.
They wasn't making enough money off of you.
Right.
Yeah, they had an idea of what they should make off of you, and they weren't making what they wanted to make, but they still sold you the car. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
See, so that yeah.
Yeah, I got the car, and I got it at a good deal because
You did your homework.
I did my homework, and I would advise if you're going to go to different dealerships, have them to put it in writing.
Absolutely.
Go to that next dealership, he could undercut that. And so they were saying about 0%. And this is my question.
Okay.
When they say that 0%, do sometimes it be temporary? Say the first 2 years it might be 0.
It shouldn't change. So it depends. Okay, let me put it that way. All right. So a couple things that determines your rate. One, the manufacturer of the car that you're looking at. Asian market cars. Okay, and I'm not being racist when I say Asian cars. I'm talking about Hondas, Acuras, Toyotas, things along those lines. They generally have better interest rates, hands down. It's not hard to get a 0% rate or a 0.9% rate for Toyota, Honda, Lexus. That's a good one too. They have good rates too. Usually for luxury cars, if you're looking on the luxury end, they usually have better rates. Okay, so usually if you're looking for better rates, you want to look towards like the Asian markets. Okay, if you're looking at the German markets, right? BMW, okay, Mercedes, okay, Audi, okay, they usually don't have the best rates. Germans do their things their own way, and that's just how it is. Okay, you take it or you don't. And that's how they do it. So usually on those ends, you're looking at like 2.9, 3.9, brand new cars, you're looking at 2.9, 3.9 if you qualify. Okay, used cars, like I said, they always have higher rates. If you get good credit, a good rate for a used car is 5%. Okay, if you get 5% on a used car, you did well for yourself. Believe it or not, you've done well for yourself. Now, this is where you come into play because you were talking about credit unions and checking your own financing. It's always best to check your own financing and your own credit union if you can, okay? Reason being is because, like, if you have a credit union, right, 9 times out of 10, the credit union is going to give you way better rates than what the bank is going to give you. One, because they don't work with the credit unions. Credit unions don't work with car dealerships. Car dealerships don't work with credit unions. They never entangle, all right? So what happens is, if you go to your credit union and you tell them, I want to purchase a car, they're more than likely going to give you a better deal on the financing than the bank is going to give you, okay? Because credit unions are built by doing stuff like that.
And they excluded my gap insurance, which was only $3.
See, that's, got you.
And if I get sick or die, they take over.
It was all there.
Or they pay the car off. Now, whereas if I would have did the financing through the dealership,
You got to pay extra.
they gave me those parts.
You got to pay extra for those things. Yeah. So that's another thing as she was explaining. Sometimes they throw things in for you, like gap insurance. Certain finance companies included. Okay, like you were just talking about. Gap insurance is included. Okay, in the deal because they already know it can happen. All right. That's why you want to go to your credit union. If you work with Navy Federal Credit Union, always go with Navy Federal, no matter what it is. Just go with them. All right. You don't even really need to compare. Just go with them. All right. The Navy Federal is always going to give you the best rates on anything. Teachers Credit Union, Tech Credit Union, Ileana Credit Union. All those are great credit unions that you can use that'll give you great rates on pretty much anything that you're looking to buy if you're a member of those credit unions. All you have to do to be a member is actually just have an account with them, like a banking account, savings account, checking account, something like that, and you become a member of those credit unions. And then you also get access to those things as long as you qualify. Cool? Gotcha.
So let me ask this last question.
Sure.
Is there the worst time to go looking for a car? And I'm thinking like right now.
I got you.
Contact.
Okay, so the question was, is there a worse time or a bad time to go looking for a car? Okay, I would tell anybody right now, if you're looking for a car, I would hold off on it. I wouldn't buy it in this season. And the reason being is because of what we were just talking about. Everything is based off supply and demand. Okay, right now demand is getting low. Demand is high, supply is getting low. Okay, which means prices go up. All right. So in regards to like tax season, things like that, a lot of people are buying cars around this time. Salespeople are probably harder to work with because they're making money. You see what I'm saying? They probably just don't want to deal with you if they're not going to make a certain amount of money. Okay, so they're trying to get to the next deal where they can find that money. Okay, because they're coming off of 2 months, January and February, where they've been starving. You see, so now March comes, springtime comes, it's time to start eating again. Okay, so the worst time to buy a car is when springtime comes, when those tax returns start rolling in. Best time to buy it is actually what we were just talking about, January, February, because a lot of people have just bought in December, Christmas, and people ain't buying too much of anything in January and February. Everything kind of get a little tight in January and February, so they're more willing to give you a better deal because they need to get to certain numbers, their monthly quotas and things like that. So if you're going to buy, I tell people, end of the month, okay, end of the week, something long, end of something, okay, end of something, and then the beginning of the year.
Well, the end of the year, but if you get a new one, they get a rebate.
End of year is great too, exactly. It's like when they have those happy Honda days and things like that, where they're giving you those 0% interest and all the other things. It just depends on what's the best deal for you. That's when it becomes about personal preference, okay, when it comes time to that. It's like, what am I looking for exactly? What am I trying to accomplish? And then that's when you can find out what's the best route for you to take. All right, question.
Okay, this has been my experiences. A lot of people don't know what they're looking for or what's their financial place or anything like that when it comes to purchasing a vehicle. So dealership has old vehicles that they have to move off their lot. Is that what they give you when you coming through the door? If you have bad credit or anything like that?
Old vehicles go to anybody they can sell them to. It ain't just the bad credit people. So the question that he had, I'm sure you guys just heard it on the speaker, you know, who gets the old cars? What are they doing with the old cars? Are they just trying to pawn those off on the bad credit people? All right. Here's the thing with the old inventory, especially if it's a new car. Those can be gifts in disguise. You need to look at old inventory as gifts because dealers have to pay juice on cars that sit on the lot. So they want to make sure they get their car off the lot as soon as possible. They have, when I say juice, I mean they got to pay interest on it. They have this thing called the floor plan. Cars, dealerships are bought on floor plan. They're not bought in cash, okay? A floor plan says that I can buy up to $1 million in cars, and I can pay 2% interest on the cars that I have every month. As long as I have the cars, I pay the interest. If I don't have the cars, I don't have to pay the interest. You see what I'm saying? So the goal of the dealership is to get that car in and out before they got to pay that juice on that floor plan. You see what I'm saying? Because essentially they bought a car for free. Think about it. You got $1 million, okay? I bought a car for $20,000. I didn't keep it for 30 days, so I don't have to pay that juice on that car, okay? But I sold it to somebody before the 30 days came along. I never came out of my pocket for the $20,000. I just used my floor plan to get it. I take the interest, or I take the extra that I did not have to pay. So that's how they're bought. They're not paying for these cars with their own money. It's bought on a floor plan, okay? So with that being said, old cars are gifts, because if you see a car that's been on the lot 60 days, 90 days, that means they paid for that car 3 times by now. And they trying their best to not pay for that car again, because now it's turning into a bad deal. That car is turning into a bad deal for them, okay? So when it comes to the floor plan, or when it comes to buying old inventory, if you're looking at new cars, look for something old. Look for something that's been sitting there. It's still new. You see what I'm saying? If you're going to do a new car, okay, look for something that has been sitting there for a little while. It's okay. It's new to you, right? So that's all you need to worry about. If it's new to you, let it be new to you, and buy those old cars, because, again, they've been paying juice on them. They're trying to get rid of them, and it could be a blessing in disguise, believe it or not.
Another one was, we know that you just saying they had the cars on consignment. They really don't own the cars. Mm-hmm. They don't want to pay for the cars.
Right.
And so when do they want to close, well, you just said, they want to close a book on the car by the end of 30 days.
Correct.
So they want to sell every car they possibly can within 30 days. They don't care what you have or if we could get you financed, we could get you financed. And then another question is, do they go to your bank? You say, I bank at Chase.
Okay.
So they going to go to my bank. Why can't I go to my own bank?
You can. And this is one of those things I was getting ready to explain to people. If you have a banking relationship, go to your own bank. You can definitely go to your own bank. Before you go into the dealership, know what your bank is offering. You don't have to run your credit with your bank, but at least know what they're offering. You should know right now, I bank with Bank of America. Right now, they got a special going right now on cars at 3.2%. All used cars 3.2. You should know that. That way, if the finance manager comes back with a 4.6, I might as well just go check my own bank out before I let you go ahead and sign this up, because I want to see what they can do. They got a 3.2 at Bank of America. Is it okay if I take these numbers with me to the bank so I can go ahead and try to get my own financing? They're going to tell you, well, we work with Bank of America too. That's okay, but I want to go in for myself and see what they're able to give me. Then they'll find a way to get you to a good rate, I guarantee it, because, again, they're going to be looking to protect that deal.
I got one more question on the
Yes,
internet.
Sir.
It says, why do certain color cars cost more than others?
Certain color cars. So it depends on, again, your manufacturer. Certain manufacturers have certain cars that cost more because they got to do certain levels with paint. That's what they told us, okay? So like when you're looking at like Mercedes or certain manufacturers, usually those paints cost more if you're looking at like foreign cars and things like that, because they got to put extra metallics and things into certain paints. So if you're looking at like a crimson red or something along those lines, they got to put a little metallic in that paint, so they got to charge you a little bit more. It's a higher sought after car, it's a higher sought after paint color, things like that, they got to charge a little bit more. But generally around the board, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. The white car shouldn't cost no more than the black car. You see what I'm saying? It generally across the board, it should be pretty much equality amongst the cars all the way across the board. Yes, ma'am. Great question. So she's asking, how do you know how long a car has been on the lot? That's a great question. One, you can ask them. They have to tell you, okay? But before you go into the dealership, this is where that research comes into play. Because before you go into the dealership, 9 times out of 10, you should have saw that car online already, okay? If you saw it online, you probably saw it on cars.com, cargurus.com, Edmunds Auto Trade, or something like that. And usually on those sites, it'll tell you, well, again, at first it'll tell you if it's a good deal, a bad deal, a fair deal, okay? But on those sites, it also is going to tell you how long those cars been sitting there, how long it's been advertised. 9 times out of 10, when the vehicle gets to a car lot, it goes on Cars, Car Gurus right away. Even before they get done cleaning it, shining it, they'll put up a stock image if they can, because they have that 30-day time clock that they got to get rid of that car, right? So You can look on there and see how many days it's been on the website. I do that like with Zillow when I look for homes. You can see that this house has been on here for 47 days. This house has been on here for 60 days. Same things with cars. This car has been on here for 47 days, saved this many amount of times, got this many people looking at it. It's the exact same way. And also, if you check your Carfax, because you have to look at that when you go to a dealership, I always ask for Carfax. Of course, on new cars, they don't have those, but Carfax on those used cars, it tells you when the car was actually brought into the dealership. Go through them. One thing that you're going to see on those Carfax, dings, dents, things like that, they talk about like little accidents. You treat them as big accidents, because if you try to trade it in, that's how they're going to treat it. Okay? So if you got like a little, it just says minor damage and things like that, if they're selling the car, they're going to try to tell you minor damage don't mean too much. You know, it wasn't a real accident. Somebody hit with a buggy or something like that. They hit a pole, you know, something along those lines. But then when it says like major damage, they're like, okay, that's a real accident. Okay, but if you bring a car to them and it says minor damage and you try to tell them, oh, that was just me hitting the pothole, and I called my insurance company and then they actually put it on the insurance or they put it on my Carfax, that's when you'll begin to see that all means the same thing. Also, do not call your insurance company for everything that happens if you don't have to, okay, for like buggies and for potholes, things along that line, because you're devaluing your car when you call them. They're going to ding your Carfax, which basically brings down the value of your car when you go try to hand it in, okay? So like if you just happen to have a little buggy accident or somebody did like a little slight scrape or something like that, and you think it's going to cost you more in depreciation than it's going to cost you out of your pocket, sometimes it's just best to I got a ding, you know, or I got to pay for it myself out of pocket, because again, you tell the insurance company they're going to put that on your Carfax. So that way if you total your car, they're going to say, well, this car wasn't worth that much. You know, this is why I'm going to give you this check for this amount, because you had a car that was in accidents and dings and all the other stuff. So now I know it's not worth much.
Okay, one more thing, one more question. No, I'm reading off the internet, Bishop.
Yeah, but I'm saying, you know, Mr. Wolfson got said something too now.
All right, a lot of people don't know that when they drive off the lot, their car depreciates. I know you covered it, but to my record or to my knowledge, it depreciates $3,000 to $5,000. Can you explain a little more in detail with the depreciation price on a vehicle when they leave off the car lot?
Absolutely. So that was average $3,000 to $5,000 is what you can expect to lose when you take the new car over the curb. Okay, reason being is because if you were to try to trade that car back in, that's what they're gonna offer you, about $3,000 to $5,000 less. Why? Because it has a one owner now. Okay, when you go look at a Carfax and you see a car that got 4 owners on it, do you want that car? Not as much. You got 4 people that had this car. What happened with the owner number 2 and owner number 3 and owner number 4 to keep turning this car back in? You start thinking about it like that. So in your mind, it's depreciated. So in the car dealership mind, it's depreciated as well. So what happens is when you take that car over that curb now, you have to put on that Carfax, that's a one-owner vehicle. It's no longer a new car. It's a one-owner used or pre-owned car, as they call it. So since it's now a pre-owned car, just by calling it pre-owned, now you lose $3,000 to $5,000 in value. Okay? All right? All righty.
Interference here. God bless you. God bless you. We have to transition just a little bit. We're going to go into a personal meet and greet in the back. For those of you who are here, we will still have more opportunity for you to talk to Minister Owens, if that's okay. But our flyer did say we would be ending our session at 12:30. So we must wrap up. We must do things decent and in order. This has been such an informative session. I got so much out of this. Thank you so very much. So in order to move on to our next session, what we're going to do is offer our bishop the opportunity to have words. God bless the bishop. All right, we're going to move right along. For those of you in streaming land, thank you so very much for joining us. If there are questions that are posted on the stream, I will ask those to Minister Mike, and I will post those answers for you. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you, Minister Mike. We thank you so very much for enlightening us. With that being said, God bless you. Yes, we are going to the back for the meet and greet.